Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction here on Fightful.com. I am Jeremy Lambert, joined by my new co-host, Robert O'Neill. Robert, thank you for taking this spot. Thank you for being here on a full-time basis moving forward. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this new opportunity. It kind of came out of nowhere, but you got to answer the call, man.
We don't have graphics yet, everybody. We will get graphics for O'Neill moving forward. If you saw the news yesterday, Joseph, he had a meltdown or something. I'm not sure what actually happened with Joseph last night. I came back on my phone. He had texted me. He said, "I quit. O'Neill is your new replacement. Deal with it, pal." I said, well, I can't find anybody else on short notice. So, all right, Robert O'Neill it is. We had a good conversation off air, O'Neill. We settled some differences, and I think we're on a good page moving forward. I'm excited for this partnership.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be really good. I think it's the start of a new page,
Robert, I'm going to ask you, since you were new here, since you were the co-host, what would you like to talk about today?
Man, I think we should just kind of defer to you here. I mean, it's your show. I don't want to step.
Oh, yeah, I'm letting you run the offense on the first show here. Come on.
Come on. Did you want to kind of get into Elimination Chamber? That's big news that came out from Raw this week.
We can talk about Elimination Chamber. A lot of old guys in this chamber, Robert. Are you sad that Bill Goldberg's not in this chamber since it's just old people?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything would be better with Bill Goldberg. Actually, from his first run, the Elimination Chamber is probably his best match, which isn't saying much, but...
yeah, he speared somebody through the glass, right?
I think it was Jericho.
There you go.
Yeah. So it'd be fun to see him in it again, but he's not a former WWE champion. He's a former Universal champion.
He won the World Heavyweight title, didn't he?
Yeah, but I don't.
Come on, O'Neill. What are you?
He did.
You're supposed to be the Goldberg guy. You're supposed to know what titles he's held.
He did, but that doesn't count.
Does it not count? I feel like it does count.
Yeah, they could have
made. What about Brock? He's old.
Yeah, Brock could be in it. That'd be fun.
All right, so book the Elimination Chamber, O'Neill. We got Goldberg, we got Brock, Drew is obviously in it. Who's your other three?
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, all right, I like that.
You get Shawn Michaels in the mix, that'd be fun.
Then they'd have to add a ladder, though.
Stone Cold.
What about Triple H?
Oh, yeah, put Triple H in instead of Shawn Michaels.
There we go. We've booked the old school Elimination Chamber. I'm very excited for this. What is happening?
What? I say I'm going to be a few minutes late. I get later every single week. Granted, we bled over into Showtime here. I get that. I come on, and the first thing I hear is Kurt Angle. What's going on here? Is this Conrad's new show?
Joseph, you quit yesterday.
No, I told you. Dr. Huge Nuts hacked me. Doc, he got me, okay? Not the big LG. Dr. Huge Nuts. He got me. He put out all these nonsensical tweets. He called O'Neill Billy Kidman, for Christ. I wouldn't do that. That's horrible. He called you the Ultimate Warrior, Jeremy.
I saw that. I was not happy with that.
Yes. Well, I was nearly Chris Benoit. Okay, so, wins and losses and such. I don't know what happened. I got hacked. Huge Nuts got me. All I was doing was sitting back. I produced a lovely new feature. I was waiting for it to come out in 2022. And things just got crazy on social. I don't know, dude. I was also off my phone. I missed it. I'm a little bit insulted by the fact that O'Neill's taken. He's stepped into my grave 3 minutes in, though. That seems bad.
This is who you requested in the text you sent me. You said O'Neill is taking my place.
Stole my phone. They stole my phone. You know what my request was?
Was it stolen or was it hacked, Joseph? Get your story straight.
Both. They stole it, then logged out and hacked me, okay? I said months ago, if I go, Joel Pearl is my man. I said this, Jeremy. You know this. I said this. Joel, look, God bless Robert O'Neill. He's better as, an attraction. He's better as Bill Goldberg, frankly. You bring him in, you bring him out. Pearl was the full-time guy I wanted. Where is he? It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Robert O'Neill is going to join us on the Twitch, the Distraction Post Show. He's going to be on the Twitch with us. O'Neill, say something to the people.
Yeah, watch us on the Twitch Post Show, and I'll see you guys later.
There you go. Thank you, Robert O'Neill. Oh, I removed Joseph.
Well, just watching that show was an adventure for me. That was incredible. I don't think Rob expected you to actually throw questions at him, which I understand. I get that.
Photos now. I was trying to let him run the offense. Let him go a little ISO. Let him post up.
I did like my hacker's one particular reply in which Robert asked, would we go 15 minutes, Jeremy and I, without the show going off the rails? And my hacker said, you just wouldn't go 15 minutes. And after seeing that, I stick by my hacker's words very much. But we do it's weird, Jeremy. We did so many gimmick shows. I'm not comfortable with our return to normal wrestling talk. Are you? It
This
feels
whole
wrong.
show is a gimmick. What are you talking about doing gimmicks?
But you sit here, like, you look at the link, and it's like, NXT, Elimination Chamber. It's like, who could possibly care? I just want to talk about Luther or something cool. Like, what are we doing here? What has this show become? Can we not just have O'Neil come back and talk about the hat or something? What is this?
It's tough to come up with a new gimmick every single week. Like, we can do it monthly. You got the monthly pay-per-views, but weekly television's hard to book.
Sure is. We find that out every single week, every single day. So I believe you there. But I hear there are some topics. I hear you have some statistics about average age, which I find really interesting and a potent new subject for us to tackle. We have the AEW. We have, by the way, Jeremy, the Impact Wrestling. Big Tom Dreamer making dreams come true. The boyhood dream once again comes true. We have all sorts going on. So I'm not bored so much as I am uninterested.
JJ, our good pal JJ says, hello to my favorite stars that are bigger than NXT. That must have been O'Neil and myself. You weren't on the show when this was sent. Kenta ruled, main event ruled, Joe's feature ruled. Joseph put out a feature that got leaked early. It wasn't supposed to come out for another 2 years. I guess it was, it's 2021 now. So it's supposed to come out next year.
Yeah.
It came out a year early. But congratulations on getting that out there. It's really good.
Well, I must say, Jeremy, I write a lot of stuff, and stuff is the best word for it because a lot of it is shit. But every once in a while, you'll hit on one. You know this, Jeremy. You're a writer. When you get one, you get the right interview quote, you get the right headline, you get the right story. I was very happy with it. If you haven't yet, I very rarely plug stuff. Read my Kenta article on the.com. It was very fun. I enjoyed it.
People texted me about that. Good friends texted me like, Joseph made me cry. And I was like, well, what do you want me to do about that?
That's what I do, man. That's really my bread and butter. Making people cry, that'll be my legacy when everyone looks back, really. Not laugh. No time for laughter nor fun. Cry? Yes, please.
Texel says, did Joseph get the Bray schedule now?
I wish I got that Bray pay, man. That Bray pay hits different by all accounts, so I wish.
Rob Hogan says, I would like to announce the contractions with Jesse the Fuck Guy, Joe Hulbert, and myself. We talk babies and wrestling. Joseph, what do you know about babies?
Very little. Thank God, very, very little. I'm clearly not ready for that conversation. I mean, here I am preparing bits and talking about getting hacked on a wrestling podcast. The last thing I need to do is talk about babies. There's some things that are beyond me. But you know what isn't beyond me, Jeremy? The Elimination Chamber. There you go.
The Elimination Chamber. Let's just get into it and get it out of the way. They announced the Shane McMahon returned. They pulled him out of Raw Underground, and now he was back on television. I imagine he's just going to disappear once again. Announced the Elimination Chamber. Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, The Miz, Randy Orton, Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, all former WWE champions as the gimmick for the Elimination Chamber. What do we think of this?
I didn't realize we were rewatching Chamber 2010 on our Twitch stream this month. You know what? Honestly, in fear of being positive on this wrestling show, this is actually one of my favorite match types in all wrestling. I love the Chamber. I really do enjoy it. This one is not the most interesting, granted. It's still some really talented guys in a structure and a match I enjoy. So I have no problem. I have an interesting point to make, though. Interesting, being a sort of rough term. I think that my prediction of the AJ Styles and the Edge is still a thing. I'm watching the Raw. Dude, he's like, they've emphasized him too much for him to be doing so little at WrestleMania. Do we think there's a chance AJ Styles leaves the Elimination Chamber as champ? And then they do Drew and Sheamus non-title?
I definitely think there's a chance. I told you before the Royal Rumble that I wasn't positive Drew was making it to Mania as a champion. Orton was still my pick, that he was going to get the title, and they were going to do Edge and Orton again. But then they blew that the night after the Rumble and just did it on Raw for one last time ever that they could easily run back again at Mania. So that looks a little lessened by now, but I didn't think Drew was going to make it to Mania as the champion. And this Elimination Chamber, it'd be a good time to potentially switch that title.
I mean, I think the concern is I think Randy is still got he's a live name, so I think there's a chance. The concern is,
how alive is he?
Well, here's the thing is if he wins, that means him and Bray are working for the title, and we don't need
Let's
that.
go.
None of us need.
Let's go. What are we? Come on.
We don't need unless he's working Alexa for the title. I don't need it. Okay? I can put up with that, but not Bray. I'm not watching Bray work for the title against Randall Orton after being set on fire and effectively dying on television. I don't need it.
They had one of the greatest matches of all time at WrestleMania, whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. So that concerns me. I guess. So here's the thing. I think neither of us expect Edge to be working Drew at Mania. Because that promo segment just eviscerated that. There's no way, right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, if Drew is staying champ, where are we going here? Because Sheamus I think the world of Sheamus. It feels more like a mid-card non-title program that you use as a good match, but it's not like I don't know. It's really difficult, and I'm going to say it. We spoke about it on Twitch. Like, is there something to that segment with Shane? That really weird segment where they remind everyone of their history together? Because, like, honestly, look, seriously, when they were in a jam 4 years ago, whatever it was, 5 years ago, and they needed a marquee match, these lunatics actually turned to Shane O'Mac and was like, Shane, it's time. They did Shane versus The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell for 30 minutes. And not one person was like, is this a little bit silly? The most dominant wrestler ever fighting Shane McMahon? No. Honestly, is there a chance? Because it's very scary.
I think I said it on Twitch. Like, for us, it'd be great content for us. Shane McMahon against Drew McIntyre, could not be more excited for something like that. As far as, do you actually want to do this on your WrestleMania show? No, you don't actually want to do this. But they see, like, this is the thing. They see guys like Sheamus as still like a draw. Like, in their world, Sheamus is a star. In their world, Shane McMahon is like a huge star for them. Like, that's why he came out just randomly on Raw. They're like, we got Shane O'Mac back. Like, he's here. And they thought this is like a big deal when, of course, no one actually cares about Shane McMahon in 2021.
I mean, that's like, I don't like Shane at all. I think there's actually a really interesting conversation to be had about like him raising standards for a job he doesn't have to do. I think is an interesting topic because everyone talks about how courageous he is, and I would agree he's insane. I would never do any of the stuff he does. But he also never worked the house show loop the next night, right? Like, it's difficult. He took some crazy bumps that guys must have been like, thanks, that does us a real favour, Shane. That's an interesting topic for another day. But for now, I don't want to defend Shane O'Mac, but in fairness to him, anyone that did care about him, I mean, they got more than enough of that man when he was like the top heel in the territory 2 years ago. That was horrific stuff, like all-time bad. So
Undertaker did an interview with Sports Illustrated, and it was after the Goldberg match, or he was talking about the famous Vietnam stint that he had, and he was praising Reigns and McIntyre, like, oh yeah, they got me back on track after Nam, and I'd completely forgotten that, like, oh yeah, Shane McMahon worked Roman Reigns on that show and beat him in Nam, like
that was worse.
He was the top heel during that period.
I have to say, like, if you ever start to just lose all hope of today's product, I promise and swear to you it's better than when that, like, summer of Wildcard before Fox. Do you remember that? Like, that's when you're talking about the Shane stuff. That stuff was so bad, like horrific, and it was none of it. There was nothing as good as Roman is now. So there's something to be taken from that. But yes, Shane, we would assume not. So then you're looking and you're like, what? Like Keith Lee? That doesn't feel right because it feels like Keith's going to do stuff. To me, he's firmly cemented in the tier below, which is fine if they had more guys in the tier above, but they don't. So does Miz cash in? Does Miz get eliminated, stay in the chamber, hide, come back with the briefcase?
How's he going to hide in the chamber?
Like, I mean, you know, like when, not hide, like, I mean, for the cameras. So, you know, when a guy gets pinned in the chamber and they just get, like, rolled out?
Yeah.
If you shoot it as such that he's off, there's no fans in the building. If he's off camera, he's, like, in a pod or something. I don't know, do something wacky. He comes back in with a briefcase, something crazy like that. But then who's he working at Mania?
They'll screw up that shot so bad, though. All their camera cuts will easily see Miz just tucked away in a pod somewhere.
But you could do it. You could do anything, is my point. But, like, at some point, you would assume Miz is going to become champ because if you didn't want him to become champ, why has he still got it? You had a way out of that. It's bizarre, you know?
Yeah, I agree because they took it off him effectively at TLC when he cashed in, and that could have been the end of it, and then they just put it back on him. So are they just going to have him fail again? Maybe they will. Like, I don't think that briefcase has much value to them at this point. So maybe they will just have him fail again. But it does feel like we're going to get some type of Miz reign at some point. I mean, Money in the Bank is what, May? Like, they ain't got too many months to figure this out.
So This is the thing. I saw someone had posted like it was just a wrestling account, but they did like the options for the next Money in the Bank winners, and I was just like, this needs to end now. Like there's no way any of us still need that stip to stay around. I get that it isn't the stipulation's fault it's used poorly. But come on, you've been doing it for 15 years. You've explored every avenue. Like, just give it a break now. Give it a decade off. You'll be fine. Bring the King of the Ring back or something. Because it's just not, it feels more like a hindrance to them. It's like we have to fit this in at some point. A Money in the Bank win. It's just not good. So, is there any match on Raw for Miz that is a suitable world title match for WrestleMania? I don't think so.
John Cena?
Oh, my.
John?
So, like, John last year redeemed the Bray Wyatt thing, and this year he's like, my worst Mania match is the Miz. I'm right in the wrong, brother. Give it to me. I don't know. Maybe that would be a WrestleMania match. Sure. Okay.
There's no match for I don't know if there's a good match for Drew. Like, what's a good match for Drew from Raw?
Right, but so here's what I'm saying. So if you had not done him and Randy, that would be a match, right? On Star Power. Him and AJ, same thing. With Miz, you could erase his whole match record. He's just at a point career-wise where there's just not that match, is what I'm saying. But you're right. Yeah, it's difficult either way.
They just don't have anyone on Raw. There's no one who feels like
they're just bad. Yeah, it's just a terrible show.
There's no one who feels like an actual star on that show.
Yeah, and to be clear, because I said this on Twitter, so I don't want people to think I'm misleading them. Like, I am at a point now where I watch Raw in 30 minutes. Like, I skim that show. It's best for my health. But it's sad, how many interesting people are no longer interested on that show. It's not good. Now, here's the thing: is we always talk about this. What is happening with Lashley? Because they have to have something. This Sunday, or was it next Sunday, would be a perfect time to get the belt off of him. Which would then prepare him. Maybe that's the match for Drew. Because remember, the whole thing with MVP, the first step of it was that Drew match where Lana was still lingering around the whole thing. She cost him the match. That wouldn't be terrible, right? Maybe that's the play. Maybe you do Bob and Drew. Bob takes the belt, and then you move on to Brock eventually, hopefully the summer when fans are back. I don't know.
Do you think we get Brock at Mania?
No, I don't know. I think Brock exposed is the wrong word, because to me a great pro wrestler is performing for the audience. But to me, the spectacle of Brock was really limited in that build in the PC. And I know the Thunderdome's different, but there's still no people there.
It is for Mania. There will be.
What I'm saying is you're wasting an asset where that event's already gonna it's gonna be the show with fans regardless, right? Me and you could be working it, and it'd be WrestleMania fans. To me, he would be perfect months down the line when it's okay, now everything's back to normal, whatever that means at this point, closer to it. Then he's your 1-2 punch. Okay, we're back, and now we've got Brock back. To be honest with you, dude, I think the world of Brock as a performer, they don't need Brock back, man. They don't. There's nothing to be gained at this point. We've seen it all with Brock. It's probably best to move on. But they're not going to move on. I don't think he'll be back before long.
Brock and Miz, that's your Mania title program.
I don't hate it. I honestly don't. My biggest fear with Brock is that he's presented as the savior against Roman, and he beats Roman Reigns. That to me would be death.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that, I'm happy to watch Brock do stuff. He's fun to watch. It's just, I don't know. It feels like this Mania has enough pieces at play that they need to figure out a spot for without being here's Brock too. I don't know. It feels off. But maybe if it's him and Lashley, that would certainly increase my interest in the whole thing. So there you go.
I'm going to throw this out there, Joseph,
okay.
And I'm not happy that I'm throwing this out there. Drew McIntyre against The Undertaker.
Surely not. They can't. No, I know. I saw some Taker stuff, and it's he can't be that lacking of self-awareness to come back 5 months after a year-long retirement ceremony. He is, but surely someone puts their foot down. I don't know. It bums me out a little bit. I don't even like to dwell on it at this point, because it's just everyone knows already, right? They don't need us two dipshits to tell them. But it's a bummer they have the best roster ever, and we're sitting here trying to figure out who could possibly work the world title match. Who's even big enough? So, dude, they're 400 guys. Do you realize how different in a different setting, how many guys you could make reasonable challenges for this title? It's you're scratching, you're looking around. Edge is going to probably be the SmackDown name on an all-time great roster over there. It's a weird time. But I've been told, Jeremy. So here's the thing. This is a report. Apparently, they've just signed a big deal with Peacock. So I think what must have happened is Peacock must have read through the weekly reviews, gone through our podcast, and they was We disagree. They are making new stars. That's the reason we're going to give them all this money. It's nothing to do with the fact they're going to give us 500 billion hours of content. No. We like what they're doing with Keith Lee. Keep it rolling. That's what I've been told. So there you go.
Let's catch up on some super chats. Reminder, guys, if you send in a super chat, it's a great way to support the show. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. Our buddy Tank Bearclaw says, Joe got big time by Bob O. O'Neill was the replacement. This was not big timing. This is what Joseph asked for. The hacker asked for.
Tank's right. I always get big time by Bob. He's a big star. Sometimes Bob will come in my DMs and be like this match on AEW. And I'll be like, hey, Bob, real cool. What about this? And he just never replies. Very tough. Very difficult for my morale and ego, but there you go.
Thorbeck says, I have Shaggy. It wasn't me since Joe said it.
I was channeling that. On the second one, when I doubled down, I was running through his head. Very good.
Can you sing it, Joseph? Can you sing the song?
Absolutely. You know that's my rule. You're the singer, you're the dancer. I'll do bits, but that's the next level for me. Especially now that we have people that clip this show. Very scary.
D'Lo Diggs says, you guys rule. Best tag duo in the biz. That must have been when O'Neill was still on.
Sure, it's about as accurate as when it's us two, so it's fair enough. We appreciate it. That's very cool.
Evan Wright says Randall wins the Chamber, Randall versus Edge at Mania. That's what I pitched before the Rumble. Now that they did it on Raw, I don't know about that one.
We joke, but the Bray stuff has to have it can't just end now.
Could. See, they don't have any. We're reviewing the playlist that I sent.
It's fine.
You.
It's 11 minutes long. That's fine.
Is it? I didn't even click it. It actually sounds like something worth reviewing.
Here's an activity for you. Sorry, I know you got to, but quickly go on that video and scroll through the YouTube comments and realize how vast their audience is. There are comments with 500 upvotes that say, "This is the only thing I watch WWE for." It's a wild world out there, folks. Wild. Okay, there you go.
Evan Ranch also says Gato wins Tana's events, him and Drew G1 Classic. I mean, look, if we can get Tanahashi here, sure, I'm all for it. I don't think that's happening, but I'm all for it.
What a blow to Tony Khan that is. They strike a deal with WWE at the last minute. He's finally knocked down the forbidden door, brother. Incredible.
Rob Wilkins says, after Drew wins, Adam Cole attacks Drew like 2018. This is what I booked in my TEW 2020 when I took over WWE. The night after the Rumble, Adam Cole and Undisputed Era attacked Drew. So I'm all for that. Rob has hacked my TEW series, apparently.
Interesting is they're not on TakeOver. It feels like they're kind of not done, because I don't think they are, but it would be a logical endpoint for them if they actually moved up. Maybe the Chamber, Drew gets through all those contenders, and then Undisputed Era hits the ring. That could be interesting.
I mean, they need something. At least that would feel fresh, especially on the main roster. It would feel like something big. How would it progress past WrestleMania? Who knows? But at least they'd have something that's this feels different for WrestleMania.
Where are the tag titles on Raw? Hurt Business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could do the old school, faction takes over the show. I mean, my interest in Raw would go up immensely just for the TV matches you get out of that crew. Cottle's obviously great, but if you have, it feels like O'Reilly's staying though. It'd be interesting. Maybe if you send Roddy, Fish, and Cole up and just leave Cole down there as top babyface, which he kind of is. Maybe I'm for it. I like it more than most of the suggestions. I'm with it.
But Ryan says the distraction has more star power than Raw's main event scene because it's got two components that make people got nuts. We make people got nuts, Joseph.
Dr. Huge nuts, baby.
Jeremy and Joe, Shane next champ. If they put the title on Shane, we'll get so much content out of it. I'm honestly for it.
So, see, I realize my name is Joe, and that's who Good Brother was referencing. How about the Chamber is done?
No.
The Chamber is done, and Big Brother Joe stands up, and it's revealed that he's wearing those half-colored trunks that he wears under his suit, and he just literally, hear me out, Jerry. He grabs hold of the Chamber, fence, and he just pulls the whole thing down, like as though it's a boat sinking. Just pulls the whole thing down. Drew goes flying, falls into Tom Phillips' lap. He pulls it down, and he says, "Wendy, I'm coming for you." And you end the show. Would it be any weirder than the way they normally end shows? Honestly,
I'm for Samoa Joe getting any opportunity, especially a title opportunity. I just don't know if this man.
That's done.
It's over. I just don't know what's going to happen.
It's the Taz thing. Ironically, it is literally a direct repeat of the Taz thing. Obviously, he had a better run in WWE, but it feels like they've made the decision. we have enough wrestlers. You're great. We love you. That's a great job. And that's fair, man. I'm happy he's getting that kind of money to be a commentator. It's pretty cool. There you go.
Evan Wright transitions us into our next topic and says, thoughts on Santana and Ortiz winning the tags belt next week and going on to wrestle Jericho and MJF at the pay-per-view might be a nice added layer to the story. Sean reported this, right? He put the scoop out there on Twitter that this was going to happen. I said it last week after MJF and Jericho won the Battle Royal and they were setting up the match against the Bucks. It made sense that they won because they were a heel team. The Bucks are technically a babyface team, but it did feel like they were doing two separate things. The Bucks are involved in the Bullet Club elite stuff with the Good Brothers. MJF and Jericho are involved in the Inner Circle stuff. Now you got this tag match next week. It's an easy transition to do, hey, put the belts on Proud and Powerful. You can do the Inner Circle, kind of continues to explode. Sammy Guevara just quit the Inner Circle last night. You can tie the Inner Circle stuff together and then keep the elite stuff separate without having to try to blend in both of them.
I'm honestly alarmed by like how much I'm into this to the point where I kind of think it's like simple. Like I won't whine if they don't win because I'm an adult apparently. I say as Kazuchika Okada stares over my shoulder, but I just think it's such a simple way of improving that show because especially if you have the Good Brothers cost the Bucks. Not in a way that kills the Proud and Powerful's win, but like in a way that then you have for the pay-per-view Bucks, Good Brothers, and the Inner Circle Civil War deal. There is nothing better for them two characters, Santana and Ortiz, than winning those belts as they are such sincere, awesome guys. It pours through the screen even when they're the most menacing heels. Those guys being like, guys, we did it. This is what we came here for. Jericho and MJF just being complete dicks because they think they're the team. That would be great. It'd be such a good way of telling the Santana and Ortiz, like, these guys don't care about you. Like, you're just fall down men for them. So I'm all for it. I'm excited for the match regardless. But, man, it feels super logical because as you pointed out and you mentioned there, you know, you've got 101 angles going on and your tag title match features none of them. It's two different things being connected. You can separate them here. It's pretty good stuff. I'm all for it. I'm just nervous about how much I'm talking myself into it because if the Bucks just win, I'll be like, oh, maybe not. I don't know. It's difficult.
The Bucks are going to win, and you're going to come on the program next week and just be like, what'd they do that for? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, probably. I do worry about, like, are we just on a different planet to where they are with these guys? Because I think I've now been booking Santana and Ortiz, like, revivals for, like, a year. And there's maybe just a chance that they're the first example of an act that, like, you know, TK just doesn't get. And that's that. Like, he prefers other teams, and they're never going to get this big, the big, you know, turn of the tide. Maybe they just are what they are. I hope not. I think they're wonderful. So I'm really hopeful next week's going to be a big moment for them. You know, whether it will be, time will tell.
Joseph, if they wasn't proud,
wouldn't be powerful. No, it's true, exactly. Isn't it? And that really brings the question, have they been as proud lately?
I don't know if they've been as proud lately. They're too caught up in the Inner Circle bullshit.
Yeah.
Like they got to be proud of themselves. And I think next week is the perfect opportunity to remind themselves and to remind everyone why they are proud and why they are powerful.
Yeah, very much. I have a question about AEW. This is embarrassing, okay? I'm watching the AEW and the Matt Hardy does the Matt Hardy segment where he looks at the camera and he whispers at the loudest volume a man has ever whispered ever. And I was like, that's kind of dumb. And then Excalibur's like, what just happened? We need to figure out what happened. And I was like, you idiot, Excalibur. He just signed his life away. He just explained it. He talked to the camera. I go on Twitter.com and everyone's like, genius. Hangman switched the... I did not see him do this, dude. They actually fooled me. They hoodwinked. They bamboozled me. And I was looking at Matt Hardy as he screamed down the camera at me about what he'd done. So I missed that. That was pretty good in hindsight, wasn't it? Did you like that deal?
Yeah, AEW does this a lot where they do like kind of the MJF like phone thing from last night as well. Mm-hmm. People are like, well, why has he got the phone? The camera's right there. Everyone knows the camera's right there. Like they do. And even when, what was it? At the last pay-per-view where they had the guy stand off, it was Hangman. That was in the tunnel as the Bucks and Omega celebrated and everything. They do these little subtle things that if you're not fully paying attention to it, then you'll miss it because it is just a background thing. And obviously the goal was to just, hey, here's Matt Hardy. Pay attention to him. Don't see what's going on behind you or behind him.
They are. I agree, and I'm really happy to see they're making the camera like an actual part of the show. Like guys are, we want you to be here for this. They've done it with Don recently too, right? With the Bucks, where guys are using the camera, and it's like it isn't a big thing. It's not the sort of thing that's going to spike your numbers one way or the other. But as a fan, it adds a lot that I now understand why I'm seeing what I see, because we've spoken about it before and joked about it. WWE will do this thing sometimes where it's like the camera doesn't exist within the show's fabric, right? Like heels will just say their plan and no one is aware of it apparently, even
the
though we're
show doesn't exist within the fabric.
It's not a show. It's like, and this is fine because this is just what I don't think it makes any difference. I don't think Peacock will like, hang on a second, but they do this thing where like it's sometimes he's not represented as a wrestling show. It's like just a TV drama. So the cameras, we're merely like we're looking in like a soap opera, right? Which is weird because then they'll do segments where they're very much the opposite's going on. Like, do you remember when, let me think here, the Alexa and the Nia thing? Do you remember this? Where the camera was on, really cool segment that makes no sense in WWE because the camera is always on and no one references it. Stuff like that. It's just an inconsistency that always irks me because I'm a nerd. It doesn't matter. But I like that AEW, someone has realized they were starting to do that stuff, and the last few months they've got away from it, which is a good sign, I think. So AEW's, I think, on a very good run. I mean, the main event wasn't it wasn't really my thing, the main event.
Really?
It was very fun. Like, I think it was very exciting, but it's not, when I saw people saying it's the best Dynamite main event ever, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's one of those things that I enjoy when I watch it, but it's not got anything that I'm like, do you remember when, I'm a limb worker, I'm a Randy Orton fan, I'm a lunatic. So it was very fun. I mean, it's great to see Kenta in that spot. Like, it was pretty surreal, actually, I thought. It was a weird, like, wrestling timeline moment. The Kenta coming out of his little briefcase, getting ready to fight Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. And then Excalibur's like, 3 of these dudes have held the US title. The Kenta's the only one that isn't. My mind just exploded. I was like, this is insanity. So
there's 3 New Japan legends and Kenny Omega in the ring in the Dynamite Mania.
It's worth noting because we very rarely talk about him. Archer is so useful for them now as like this sort of just like ass-kicking babyface. It's actually better than when he was a monster heel because you can protect him in these ways where like he got screwed by Eddie or he gets beat by 8 guys this week. He's just a throwback, right? He just beats guys up. He does the wrestler faces. He growls. He sometimes just looks at the camera and says stuff. He's great. I love it. I thought it was very fun. Definitely.
I thought the main event was great. I mean, it obviously wasn't a traditional main event, it was just false count, but they did a lot of fun spots in it. And I think just the big picture of it is what got people excited. Like, it's Kenta in an AEW, a New Japan wrestler in an AEW main event. He's got the briefcase. Moxley's got the US title. By the way, another great Jon Moxley promo. Just the best. Just tremendous. I rewatched, and by rewatched, I mean it was background noise. Elimination Chamber 2015 today, where Moxley wins the WWE title, but like doesn't win the WWE title, and just was like, how they screw this guy up so bad? Yeah. Like, how they screw this up?
It's a weird one because like it wasn't like one of those deals where they just didn't get a guy, right? Like they knew he was great.
Yeah.
Just their package of him was like, someone else could have done that better than he did. He should have just been him, which is what he said a lot. Like, you could just hire an actor to do this. But I'm with you. By the way, that was the show. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy. That was the show where they had that chamber match where Mark Henry, like, broke out of the pod, right? And Dolph stops everyone in the middle and goes, what are we doing here, guys? Grab a hold? What are we doing? Do you want me to hit a drop kick?
There was that spot, and there was the Kalisto hangs up there for 20 minutes while the dudes are like wrestling below him, and Kalisto's waiting for everybody to group up so he can fall onto them. And then finally, after Cesaro does a tilt-a-whirl and grabs a headlock and everything, they finally realize Kalisto's been up there for 20 minutes, and they look up and they're like, okay, you can fall now.
Amazing stuff. So what was that match? It was Cesaro and Kid, New Day, Lucha Dragons, right? Because it was pre-Lucha. And then who were we looking elsewhere?
Ascension.
Okay.
Yeah, Ascension was in it. There were other teams, and clearly my memory is so great that even though I watched it today, I don't even remember.
Speaking of the Dolph who tried to orchestrate an Elimination Chamber match in the middle of a ring in front of crowds, boy, I need to say this. Why does everyone hate this man's brother so much? He's doing job matches, bro. The poor guy, I'm on social and everyone's like, this is bullshit. Get him off my television. He lost in 3 minutes to Pac. Granted, he wrestles like Dolph. I get it. I understand that much. But Dolph's very good. I'd also wrestle like the Dolph. I don't get it. I don't understand. Can you help me, Jeremy? Do you explain this to me? I don't get it.
I see a lot of people upset at him as well. I I listened to his Chris Van Vliet interview, and he seems like a nice guy. He seems kind enough. He's like, I'm not really big on wrestling anymore. I went to Hollywood after WWE released me. Had to, doing comedy and movies and whatnot, starring in this movie called Heel or whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, he's doing job matches. Pac's just kicking the shit out of him. What?
Literally, yeah. This wasn't like a Cody match where he went 12 minutes and like Pat just kicked the shit out of him. Yeah. Nemeth did 2 Dolph moves in the middle of it and then got the shit kicked out of him more. What? Just leave the man be. That's what I'm saying. We get a little bit fired up sometimes in here, but it was just standing out to me. It's very strange. There you go.
Evan Wright says, I love that the tunnels are storytelling devices. Yeah, in AEW, Sammy left through the face tunnel, and so that was a big thing when Omega, some weeks it was the heel, some weeks it was the face. It's like, oh, he's definitely a heel now. He's coming out of the heel tunnel, even though some people apparently couldn't make that distinction.
And on that topic, my brother's favorite thing about AEW Dynamite that he's been asking me to mention on this podcast for approximately 3 months, even though he doesn't realize it's a regular point within the wrestling dialogue, is that Cody comes in the middle because he lives in the shades of grey. Do you get it? Do you understand? Jeremy, I'll explain again. So you get the baby face, you have the heels, and directly in the middle of them, in comes Cody Rhodes. But do you notice Arn Anderson, babyface? So he's a babyface. The Cody can't be trusted. There you go.
I saw you having a discourse surrounding the Cody Rhodes on your Twitter today. I've said this before that the crowds have really hurt Cody because he had such a connection with those crowds and he felt like the biggest star in AEW when there was crowds because everyone was just behind him. And now without that, his matches it doesn't feel like they hit the same. The promos doesn't feel like they hit the same. It doesn't help that at least right now his direction is like all over the place and I can't tell what he's doing. There was the points made on your Twitter of like nothing feels that big because he can't challenge for the title. So it's like, well, what's all this leading to?
I think that's a good point. I don't know if I fully agree with it because of this. While the MJF stuff was just an extension of him not being able to challenge for the title, to me, that is just like the blueprint of what these... Like, Cody just needs like old school heated rivalries, you know? Like he needs stuff with some blood and guts to it, with some, kind of spite. He's doing like celebrity stuff. It's just lame. It isn't good stuff. Like I personally don't think he's ever going to win the title. I don't. Like people always say, what will they do when? I just don't think it's happening. To me, you're going Hangman, then probably an MJF, and after that, dude, you're years down the line. Like they're not just giving it around, So that's the first thing. So you're gonna have to get used to this, I think. But to me, he's at his best when guys. I think Cody has a very good wrestling mind, but sometimes it's a little bit muddied and he gets a little bit elaborate, and that's why a lot of his finishing stretches are like, like 101 run-ins and it's chaos. To me, his best stuff, obviously the Dustin match, the Eddie match on TV, let me think, some of the Jungle Boy stuff. Guys that like work within a simple template and he can just be Cody Rhodes, to me are the best. He's now working with Shaquille O'Neal. So, not exactly the traditional NWA, it's like, I think it sounds silly because they're doing pretty different stuff, but like if you just did a 4-week program, Cody and Dax Harwood, I think everyone would be like, oh yeah, Cody's great again. Because he just needs guys that match him in that way. I mean, even the Derby stuff, that was like an old school WCW program. It was great, I thought. It's just, they didn't have fans. Like the last match didn't have, it was a great match. So to me, it's all just roll, and he's wasting himself in stuff that eventually will probably get you like a Bleacher Report viral clip. Sure.
I don't like a lot of the celebrity stuff anyway. This goes for pretty much any company. Yeah. Like if it's a heel against one of these celebrities, it hits a little bit easier because it's easier to play off of. But like the babyface type thing, and Shaq, I know Brandy can say he hasn't phoned anything in, but like I don't know how much you're getting out of Shaq in this. And apparently Cody suffered a partially torn rotator cuff. I don't know how much. This is what AEW said. Whether or not it's an angle or true, I don't know. But like if that's the case, like I don't know how much you're getting out of this match with Shaq. And I'm with you. Cody is best when he's just compacted into one. Like I thought the Taz stuff, I thought that was leading somewhere, and it was going to be like really good because Taz is like you're holding me down, you're holding down my guys. Like the hook when Cody comes out, I was like he's training with us. Like why is he training with us and not with you? Like that went nowhere. Cody just transitioned into this feud with Shaq. Like I would assume at some point they bring it back, but why is it like taking so long to get back into this, and why do we have to do Cody and Shaq?
I agree. I think there's been a real stumbling block in the Shaq stuff where I don't think they knew until recently when it was actually going to get to where it needs to be, because they were definitely, he was tied to the stuff with Sting, Darby, and Team Taz.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing, was like, where does Sting stand with Cody? Remember? So, but I do think going with that, I just mentioned a minute ago of like, I think he's best with guys that have a simple outline. I think if you can come out of this with a program with Hobbs or Starks, I think you'll see quickly how valuable Cody can be. Because I could be completely wrong, and I do not know Cody Rhodes, breaking news. But while I think he wants to be a television star, I don't think he minds being like a buffer guy in AEW. I honestly don't. People can say I'm crazy. I know the jokes, I get it, but I think he would be cool with like elevating a Hobbs or a Starks. You can't beat him all the time because then he's no use to you. But like, if we're being honest, dude, his legacy is like, it's the fact that the promotion exists more than what he does as like a top guy in it. Do you not think? Like, he had the greatest first match. It was him and Dustin. Like, I don't know. So it was like he's done his part.
I think the fact that they put in the stipulation he can't challenge for the title almost shows that he doesn't care about that stuff. Like, say what you will about the open challenge stuff. Yeah, he won all those matches and whatnot. But like, how many guys? 2 guys got signed out of that. And those 2 guys are now featured players every single week on the show. Like, he had great matches with a lot of people during that, and showcased, like, he gave everyone, even people he shouldn't have given stuff to, during that open challenge. So I'm kind of in agreement. I don't think Cody is a guy who's looking at like, I gotta have the belt. Like, it's very possible that he never wins the belt back from Brody if it wasn't for, outside circumstances on that. It's very possible that Darby ended up being the one to beat Brody, because they transitioned to Darby pretty quickly for Cody's second run. Yeah. So I don't think Cody does care about that kind of stuff. I think you're right in that he's fine. Just, all right, I'm here. I'm going to play my role. I'm going to get other guys over. Like you said, you still got to protect him a little bit, because otherwise a win over him means nothing. But I don't think he's a guy who's just let me have all these belts, despite what he says, where he's like, I want to be number 1 in PWI and all this stuff. I think that's just a lot for show.
It's just, it feels to me like, it feels like I'm talking like he's going to retire or so. But what I'm saying is when you tell the Cody story, the fact that he's got here with AEW is just like success, it is successful. It's better than doing a lot better than I thought they'd do. That to me is like his world title win. If that makes any sense. Like, he played top guy in Ring of Honor, dude. Like, it's fine. He'll be fine. But I will say, and I know we want to do NXT, so I'll wrap this up, but like, the people that give him stick for the open challenge thing are being they're being unfair, right? Like, because as you pointed out, he give a lot. I mean, Eddie and Ricky were on a list of names that he wanted to work with, and he'd give those guys a lot. He took a tax bump against Kingston. He was trying to get them hired. So I'm with you 100%. If I could have one, I just said Hobbs and Starks. I get that, Jeremy. But if I could have one play, I think you get yourself in a position where, just like Taz did, Moxley is angry at something in AEW, and out comes Cody with a producer's headset on, and he's like, John, come on, John, we got to get in. And then away you go. That program, I think, would be a top guy thing. So whatever they do, I just hope it's better than the Shaq stuff, because it's lost me, I must say. Yeah,
I mean, the Shaq stuff will hopefully... The March 3rd match, that's the end of it, and then we don't have to hear about it ever again. Evan Wright says, love the Lee Johnson showcase and moment. That was great last night. Evan Wright also says, I just need Jade scoop slamming Shaq onto Cody. I mean, Shaq's going to have to help her on that one. Jade, very strong, very athletic. Shaq, he's big man, very big man. Big dude. Music and Moonsaw says, Cody would be my favorite wrestler if he only cut promos and never actually wrestled. That's mean. Cody's a good wrestler.
He's good with, it's not his skill, it's his tendency to be excessive with shit that he enjoyed as a kid, Yeah. He's like, blade job, run in, this, that. It's like, he needs guys, like, you're a reporter, Jeremy, right? You do news? Is that what you do?
Allegedly. Yeah.
You listen to when King was on Renee's pod, and he was like, I just said to him, I'm going to get in your zone, get in your face, beat you up a little bit, it'll be fine. Dude, that's what Cody's best message, because he just sells, makes his comeback, always good. When he has to start formatting stuff, it gets a little bit clunky. So there you go. Well, I get it.
JL says, what are the chances? Cena films his WrestleMania appearance from his location, cinematic style, escaping the Funhouse on the 1-year anniversary of last year. If they want to get Cena on the show, they could certainly do something. He's on a film set with a Peacemaker, a television set. Like,
hang on. Are we suggesting he's been trapped there for a year?
Yeah. Where else has he been?
I guess that's in WWE canon. I guess that's where he's been. But like, what does that look like? Him escaping? Does he get out the door? What does he do?
I think he just pops up and he's like, I'm out.
Wait, Alexa's here now? Why is Alexa here? What's happened in the last year? Maybe you do the thing where John thinks it's been like 10 hours and like, no, it's been a whole year. It's WrestleMania time. Maybe, I don't know.
JJ says, just need the Acclaim to have a rap concert and shoot Nakamura's happy surfing while Darby is happy being dragged along in a body bag. Dude, I'm willing to bet like Darby was just like actually in there and just like, yeah, drag me. Like, sure.
That was such a weird one where like everyone knew the angle needed to do something dramatic and they did something dramatic and it didn't feel dramatic at all because it was presented the exact same way as the rest of it, where Sting comes out, looks at the big screen. Like, they should have done it differently to make it really feel, I don't know, it was weird. It was a strange one.
What they should have done differently is not have Sting appear every single week, because like this Sting stuff, it was very like when he first came back, we were very excited for this. It's been 2 months since he's been back, and I'm like, I don't care if this guy's ever on my television again. And I like Sting, but him showing up weekly, it kills. Like the thing with Sting is like his aura and stuff. Like, he's there every week. He's talking. He's smashing windows and stuff with Darby. Like, that's not the Sting we want to see. The aura was him not speaking and him just hanging out in the rafters and not doing anything and looking over things.
See, here's the thing is, I think the way to go is in the middle of what... So the problem is, they have two choices, okay? He can either be veteran Sting, who cuts the fun babyface promos, because Sting, no matter what character Sting is, he cuts promos the same way, right? He's the energy guy, basically. He got a lot better in TNA. You either have him as that character, the sort of legend, you know, people go to him for advice, he talks a lot, fun. Basically a general manager without being that. Or you have him as baseball bat or a Sting. They want to have both, it seems like to me. You know, like, he's still, you know, he's the badass Sting, everyone's scared of him. But he also comes out and, like, pals up with Tony. They want to have their cake and eat it too, but I think, you know, I mess around about it, but, like, it's pretty apparent to me he's getting paid an absurd amount of money because they advertise these segments, which they don't do for anyone else. Literally, it will say at the end of the show, this week's one was like Sting lays down the challenge to Team Taz. It's like, oh, so what you're saying is he's going to be on the show. Basically, he's going to do the exact same thing. Okay, cool. But I love Sting, but it's pretty hard to be like excited about it. I don't hate seeing the guy, but it's not. I'm not like, oh my, what's next for Sting on AEW? It's difficult. They need that match to hit. They need that cinematic deal to be really fun and really good. There you go.
I think it will be good. I don't know how good Sting's going to be in it. Ricky's going to bump his ass off for right. Sting and for Darby. Like, that is a given. Brian Cage, he's going to have to toss Darby around because I don't know how much they're going to trust Brian Cage to like try to power around Sting and whatnot. And I don't know how much Brian Cage should even be like bumping for like Sting and stuff. Starks has got his work cut out for him as far as like just bumping and making it look good. And I think he will.
Do you know what my favorite part of it all is? It's like a street fight, yeah? And it's like they're presenting it like an actual street fight. But still, Taz is like, listen, don't get me wrong. Hook and Hobbs, not there. Fair street fight, 2-on-2, tag in and out. You know? Like it's a real gritty street fight, but we're going to leave 3 of our guys at home. You just come with your baseball bat, Sting. It'll be cool. It's a weird fit for Sting, like a street fight. But Tony had this vision when he signed him because they knew he wasn't going to do matches like live. So they must have something in mind. I haven't got a clue what, I must say.
Tank says it feels like the mentality of more is better. Yeah, that's like Joseph said. Like, they're paying him a lot. You know, but once you use him every week, again, it doesn't feel as a big deal anymore. So, NXT TakeOver, Vengeance Day, Valentine's Day, Joseph, we banned this program. We don't have to talk about this, right?
You needed a thumbnail, dude. I don't know. I mean, apparently we're reviewing it this weekend, so I thought we'd give it a little time. Do
you know what's on this card?
Probably. Okay, let me go. Finn Balor and Pete Dunne.
Yep.
Grizzled Young Vets.
The point, Joseph. That's what they did last night.
He should start doing it with Good Night and then go bang like that, you know. Grizzled Young Vets and what they called now, the Rascals, MSK. I need to say MSN, that'd be very different. Who are just By the way, those guys just love to have fun. You notice that? They just love having fun.
Michael.
The women's Dusty final is Ember and Shotzi, who should obviously be the women's tag champs. It's embarrassing they've not done that yet. And the team of... No, I've got it. Dakota and Raquel, right?
Yeah.
How many matches have I got left? 2?
2.
Tony, Mercedes, and Io. And then is the last match Escobar and Cross?
No, that's on NXT next week, Escobar and Cross.
What's the last match? I honestly don't know.
Gargano and Kashida.
Oh, I thought it was cancelled. Okay. Oh, no, they did the whole angle on TV. I remember that. He was in the chair. Sorry, I forget.
That was a fun segment.
Sure. The main event's going to be really good. Let's talk about the fact that Finn Balor has said, hey, dipshits, we don't have to go 35 minutes and hit our finish 12 times. What if we just work a match and there's stuff that's interesting from minute 1 through minute 20, and then we pay off the fact that people actually paid attention? I'll work your jaw for the whole match, and the finish would include that. How about I work your arm and the finish includes that, rather than us just saying, let's fill a match with 20 minutes of nothing, so that if they walked in at this point, they'd have missed nothing, and they can watch the finishing stretch. Thank you, Finn. I honestly appreciate this. I sound angry at you. I'm not. I promise. I love you, Finn Balor. Thank you. He's going to have an awesome match with Pete Dunne, because hopefully they don't give in to excess and they have that exact match. 20 minutes, limb work, punches. Don't do that spot Pete does with the punches. That's not good. But do real punches. Hit each other. Bleed. I don't care. Do so. I'm excited for that match. I think it could be one of the best matches of the year, sincerely. The Dusty Cup has been an interesting piece of television, Jeremy, because I spoke to you a little bit off air with... oh, no, I wasn't here off air. Ignore me. I heard you and O'Neill talking about it. And it was... To me, it's been a tournament of like the ultimate encapsulation of just NXT TV being like, it's just good. And then when it's done, you forget all about it. The only match breaking that was Thatcher and Ciampa against the Era, which I thought was like brilliant. Outside of that, I thought everything to me suffers from just being like formatted the same way. Like rather than having 2 12-minute matches, you could just give one 5 and give the other one 20. You don't have to, not everything has to fit in the same size box is what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to let stuff stand out more by taking away from others. That's just the way it goes. Like, especially on the women's side, to me, every match has just felt like I'm watching the same match with just different players put in the roles. I don't know. It's been a little bit frustrating. I think it could have been a lot better if they formatted it differently, but it's still been good. I'm sure the final matches will be very, very good. And then, what did you say? Kushida and Gargano will be amazing. Obviously, 2 great professional wrestlers. That won't be bad. The women's match is interesting because I don't think it's time to do a title change, but I think they may do. They may think otherwise. I don't know if Tony's there as the top heel. I'm not sure. What do you think, Jeremy?
I think it was a stream on Tuesday where we were talking about Tony Storm, and you weren't 100% sold on her being the top heel. I definitely think they see her as the top heel, and I mean, Io's had the belt for a while, and I'm not saying okay, take it off her just because she's had it for a long time, but I think they might feel all right, it's time to get the belt off of her, try to do something else. And like if she wins this, she's almost cleaned things out. I feel like I don't know who's left for her. Yeah, Raquel.
So here's the thing is, and I don't blame you for forgetting, because Raquel pinned her in War Games, and we did a pod afterwards and was like, well, clearly that's up next. Can't confirm was not up next. 2 months have gone by, nothing has been done with that. So, but I would assume, now that I really think about it, it feels like Raquel should be the next champ. Is what I would guess.
I agree with you. I was looking at the women's tag team titles, or the Dusty Cup finals, and so the winner of that gets a title shot at the women's tag team titles. I feel like their best move is to put the belts on whoever wins this Dusty finals. And I think you can actually go with Raquel and Dakota for this, and then have them do some main roster. But the women's division in NXT is so deep, and like they actually put some thought and some care into it, unlike the main roster, to where like I feel like the titles are more useful weekly on this program than they are on Raw and SmackDown.
I agree with everything you said, other than I think the play is Shayna and Nia retain. Mm-hmm. You go Ember and Shotzi, and the only reason I'd say that is Ember is like a familiar face to main roster audiences, which I like her as a touring idea. She's been on all 3 brands, right? So yeah, I like that, and I also like, dude, if you can just slowly get people more used to seeing Shotzi and that awesome presentation, to me it would just be there'd be a great touring champ. So I think I'm with you either way. I just think the main point is it's time for those belts to live on NXT for a little bit. Like we've been through so many different chapters where it felt like they were finally getting out of the hole almost, but hole. And not, you get it because she's the WWE woman's By the way, did you notice AEW, the baby faces, and they have the heels, and Cody comes right in the middle? No, I think
he comes out the hole.
He comes out the hole. Very much so. I think that's the play. The thing with NXT is, and we don't have to go over this over and over again because we've done it, but it is such a fascinating brand because I don't think anyone in the world doubts that it will be a really good show on Sunday. We all know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
There's no way Gargano and Kashida is not going to be good. There's no way the two tags will be anything less than good, and the main event's going to be great. Yet there seems to be no intrigue as to what the actual direction is. It's just these are going to be great matches. These are exhibitions. And someone could say AEW is similar. I think there's times where it is. I'm not going to disagree with that, but it fascinates me how Raw and NXT managed to be on the complete opposite ends of a scale. Where one of them, the take is, it's really sound and solid, but there's not enough there's not a hook, there's no bells and whistles. And Raw, it's can they just do something that I can follow? Can they just do, they're completely different sides. But I'm looking forward to watching the show. I'm sure it'll be very, very good. So there's that much.
I do think that Raquel, now that she's been brought up and we remember that she existed and could work as a single star, that should be the play. Io retains, and then you move on to the Raquel match and actually put the title on her. I'm for that. I think, and I might be crazy for this, I think Gargano and Kashida is going to be the best match on the show. And I don't know why that would be crazy. It's two great wrestlers. But I'm excited. I'm most excited for Dunn and Balor because, like you said, Balor's structure in NXT is just tremendous. The O'Reilly matches are some of my favorite matches over the past couple of years. And I like Dunn more than O'Reilly. And so I think it'll be an exceptional match. But Gargano and Kashida, it's not his TakeOver debut because I think he had that dream match, but whatever. Gargano, we know he's going to perform at a top level. And Kashida, I think this could be his big breakout of where even people still talk about Kashida took him so long to find himself and all of this stuff and whatnot. This is Kashida's chance to really show hey, I can work this exceptional style, and now I've got somebody like Johnny Gargano to work with, and I think it's gonna be a great match.
It is interesting that if you'd have told me a few years ago Kushida, Johnny Gargano, I'd be like, dude, that sounds like it would be the best match ever. They're not any worse as performers, so I'm with your guess. I'm not as much as I admire the work he does. I think he does a very good job of it. Johnny as a heel is just it's a way lower ceiling than him as a babyface to me. So it's difficult.
I think that's the argument for it not being as great as a past Gargano takeover matches. Is those matches lived and died on crowd reaction and him being the underdog and telling that story. Heel Gargano is different, but I'm not doubting my best friend and fellow Ohioan Johnny Gargano at a takeover.
On the other hand, in fairness to your prediction there is a chance that what we love about Finn matches lets him down here, where he goes out to have a traditional world title match after 4 matches in which they've done 101 false finishes and chaos. So it may actually backfire that. I mean, I don't know. Time will tell. But I'm intrigued. One thing I will say, Jeremy, you mentioned the Raquel. I saw someone suggest this on the Twitter. Raquel and Dakota lose. Raquel just murders Dakota after the match. Write her off. Makes her even a bigger heel because she's she don't even need anyone with her anymore. Yeah, it's time for Dakota Kai to move on up, right? I think we know that much.
Yeah, so she's got nothing, and they keep signing women as well. There's nothing else for her. I feel like Candice LeRae is in a similar position. I don't think they're going to move her up because of the Gargano connection and everything, but there's just nothing left for her to do on this. If they're not going to put the title on her, and it seems pretty obvious they're not because they had the chance a couple months ago with Candice, move her up and let her do something on Raw and SmackDown. And Dakota feels very much the same way.
It's interesting. I've seen some suggestions of her and Bayley as a team, and I kind of like this. I kind of like this idea. I don't know where else you slot her right now because, if we're being honest, they are currently burning for about 25 women on the main roster. We're not one a good idea. So, maybe not probably the best time. But so I just think it's the point is, as you mentioned, man, it's time, right? She's been there. Dude, she was there when I did the report card. That was 3 years ago. Very scary. You need to move on at this point,
Yeah. The men's finals with Grizzled Young Vets and MSK. I mean, they got to go with MSK here, right? Imperium's doing their thing. They're the tag team champions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like Walter is going to return at some point, which would be great for NXT and for Imperium. It feels like MSK is the play. They've pushed him heavy. They put him in the finals on this, and Grizzled Young Vets, no knock on them. I don't know if they're going to be wanting to do like NXT UK offshoot in NXT USA.
Right. I mean, this is absurd for me to ask a professional. Are we certain Imperium are the tag champs? Because I genuinely don't know.
No, Luis Padillo just mentions Oni and Danny are the tag champs.
There you go, because they're in the group. Because I was thinking they were in the tournament. Because Breezango won it from them. There you go.
Okay,
it's different. Yeah.
Well, I mean, still, they're heels, so I still think MSK
same thing.
is the play.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, no, I agree. The division has needed like an injection of kind of new blood and new feel, and I think they do that. As much as I joked, I think they're a great team. I love their match this week. I think that will actually be a great match if it has time to breathe. Grizzled Young Vets are a tremendous team. But I don't think they're getting enough credit because it seems like even though obviously the viewership is definitely up because it's on TV, there's just like dialogue because there's just more shows to talk about now. And it feels to me like they're not getting enough credit as the other great heel teams of NXT yesteryear got. So I think they're tremendous. So I wouldn't complain either way, but I'm with you. MSK feels like the logical, correct choice in that case.
They have fun, Joseph. MSK just have fun.
They do. They have a lot of fun. They laugh, they smile, and they wrestle.
Their tag team offense is really good, though. Some of the
they're
stuff
great.
they do, It's fantastic.
They're amazing, man. Like we always talk about. I don't even know if we do a lot on it, but like in ring, the levels of talent out there in the wrestling world is insane. Like honestly, I've been there, so try not to be as cynical as I once was. Where it's like, well, but like, dude, they're amazing. These teams are incredible. So I'm actually, as we talk about the match, I'm more excited for it than I was, when we started this. But I also didn't know the tag champs, so maybe that's on me. There you go.
Anything else from a TakeOver VD?
No, I only have one last point in general, to be honest, Jeremy. Tommy Dreamer, right? I mean, how many times on this show have I said to you, give him another run? How many times have I said, where's Tommy's AEW Open Challenge? Where's Tommy's Royal Rumble win? Here he goes. He's rolling in there one last time. Impact, more or less buzz than TakeOver?
Less.
Good. I'm testing you because I wanted to see how far you go with the bit. I agree with you. But in fairness to Impact, like, their specials are kind of like wink, wink, right? It's like, these are for our absolute most loyal Impact Plus lunatics. Not for you normal people.
Do you know what else is on this card?
I just know the Gallows and Anderson. And I do. I know it's Gallows and Anderson. I know you've got the...
Who are they facing?
The Private Party and the Motor City Beer Money. You've got that. The Honor's in a tag. I know that much. You've got a street fight or a tornado or something with Tasha and Kiera against Nevaeh and Havoc. You've got some wacky X Division title match which has like 19 people in it, which looks fun.
No, I think the X Division title match is just TJP against Rohit Raju.
What's the match is that just a new stip match they're doing?
Yeah. It's like a 3-way scramble. Right. I don't remember what they call it, but it's a weird thing. I mean, it's something different. I appreciate them for trying it. We'll see how it works out, but we'll see.
They are kind. I mean, I joked at it, but like these shows are kind of, they're very much canon. Don't get me wrong, but they're kind of like bumps along the road within the overall Impact product, right? Where it's like, we all know the deal. Rich Swann is dealing with all this AEW stuff, and we have Moose. It's like Dreamer gives them a way to do a title match without burning anything else for their Impact Plus folks. I have no problem with that. I think the tag match would be good. I'm just disappointed it's another multi-team match. Like, I just wanted a straight tag match. I'm tired of the 3 teams and the synchronized and the sequences and the just get a heat, grab a hold. That's what I wanted. I wanted the big LG basing for some Isaiah. That's what I wanted. I'm not getting any of it.
I think he'll still base for Isaiah. I think we could still see that.
But I wanted works Quen over for a good 25 minutes. The crowd's coming up in the empty Impact building. Demore's glasses starting to steam up.
What if we have Dreamer win the title and he does the celebration like in the empty building? Like the locker room doesn't even pour out for him or anything. It's just him like doing the whole Shawn Michaels celebration.
I have a point. Okay. While as hilarious as that is, someone did suggest this, man. I wish I could remember who. They said, imagine if Big Dick Don Callis came out in the middle of this match. They beat him and Kenny, beat up everyone. They drag Dreamer across. And then Dreamer's the world champion. Don's like, just booking it now. I'm the head of Impact. Tommy Dreamer versus Kenny Omega for the Impact World Heavyweight title. Dude, that could be great. And then you could actually build to Rich chasing him. I actually read it and was like, that may be good. I don't know. I'm not sure where I stand on it. Because it's not like the belt's like, it's not like we're sitting there going, oh my God, if Dreamer held it, the belt would be in the complete shit. I mean, someone threw the belt away last year. Who cares? I think it could be fun. I'm not against it. There you go.
I hope. You've talked me into Dreamer winning this title. Now I'm for it. Do something. Impact is the wacky promotion who can just kind of do whatever, and they're just going to stay in the same spot they always are. Put your world title on Tommy Dreamer. Who cares?
And then do what you said. And then, I actually want someone to stand up and set up some chairs so he can go into the crowd like he's. Once I do that, so, there you go. Impact song. That's the point.
Ray Callahan says, "Motor City beer money sounds like my bachelor party."
Facts. It's true. Very strong. Very strong.
Joseph, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
Well, I'll be sitting up and watching NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day and then logging on to StreamYard and reviewing it with you. That's what I'll be doing. You and an unknown guest, I believe, to the audience. So that's what I'll be doing. Very romantic.
You know who the guest is. Can I
know, but I don't know if they know. Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Joseph and I will be reviewing NXT TakeOver on the Fightful gimmick. Sean messages me yesterday, and he's like, "It's the point of the week where I forget that I can't do the TakeOver post show because there's a media call. Are you good to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been planning this for 2 weeks because I just assume any NXT AEW show, I'm doing the post show. It will be myself, it will be Joseph, and it will be our pal Alex McCarthy from Talk Sport and a bunch of other stuff. He is back to work this week. He just goes on vacation, I think.
Well, he's such a big Drew fan that he also got COVID in March. Insanity. What's wrong with he doing? We'll talk about this on Sunday. We'll talk about this on Valentine's Day. On Vengeance Day, Jeremy. On Vengeance Day. That's what we're going to do.
I got to spend my Valentine's Day with 2 Brits. Like, what is happening here? This sucks.
I can't argue that. I wouldn't want to spend it with 2 Brits either. I'm with you, dude. It's very, very fair.
Best wishes to Alex McCarthy. He says he's recovering well. He'd forgotten about our date. I messaged him, I was like, we're still good for Sunday. He's like, I'd forgotten all that we had this date planned. Don't you have a calendar? Like, am I that unimportant that you were about to stand me up on this date? So sad.
The Brits, huh? Can't trust them. You just cannot trust the Brits.
Alex is going to come on and talk about, where was Drew McIntyre on this show? He should have been here.
You need to throw to him, just cold, be like, Alex, your favorite NXT champ? And if he says anyone but Drew, that's the whole show. We just go back to Drew. Be like, you sell out.
I'll definitely do that. I'll do it. Everyone, we were going to be on the Twitch here in a couple of minutes. Actually, Joseph, let's do this.
Oh, no.
Let's do our favorite game that isn't really a game, but the ratings, Joseph.
Oh, no.
Everyone loves the ratings. What do you think we got for what has happened? Oh, these are right. Apparently, there was a lot of stuff happening in the news because the news has dominated the ratings.
Wow.
Can anyone tell me why the news was such a big thing last night? Clearly, I was not following this. Joseph, what do you think the AEW got?
So I would assume it's difficult. Where was that last week? Like 800, right?
Last week was, I'll tell you in a second as I pull it up.
Sure,
we'll go with 800.
Okay, good. I'm going to go 849.
Last week, let me give you the actual number last week so it doesn't skew you at all. 844 was last week.
Okay,
and that was for Beach Bash.
I'm going to adjust and say 879.
Okay, you are way. I just told you that the news dominated, Joseph.
Okay.
741 for the AEW.
Oh, great.
NXT last week did a fantastic number of
610.
610, yes. Wow, you knew that one off the top of your head.
NXT in the brain. Yeah. Edge wasn't on, so I assume it went up. 664.
Edge is a draw, Joseph, compared to these NXT regulars. 558 for the NXT.
Jesus, tough week. Were people that excited about the Mandalorian letting go of Gina Carano? They need live updates on a dumb tweet story. Maybe, I don't know.
People in the chat are telling me that it was Trump's impeachment trial last night. Shows you what I pay attention to, because I did not know this was happening last night.
Your life's much better for it, my friend. I promise you. There you go.
But he's
Wrestling's
out.
dead, I guess.
What's
Wrestling's
that?
dead. Wrestling's dead. We all move on now, right? Is that the end? Did they cancel their contract yet?
Yeah, I think it's all canceled. I think Peacock is pulled out of the deal, and they're like, I don't know about this.
Oh man, I'm devastated. But we've got to talk to Robert O'Neill about it. So that's even worse.
Guys, we will be on the Twitch here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming post show. Joseph, myself, Robert O'Neill. Leave your questions there, and we'll just chat to all the pals in the Twitch gimmick there. Again, we'll be back on Sunday with the NXT TakeOver review show. Let's see what else as far as Twitch stuff goes. Tonight, I'll be back on the Twitch. I don't know with who yet, but I'm going to be doing something. I don't know who's going to be joining me. Maybe Joel Pearl, maybe Hannah. I don't know. Maybe Joseph if he can stay up. Not sure. No, Joseph says no. Okay, not Joseph. I'll be on the Twitch at some point tonight. I don't even have an exact time. I'll be doing something. Tomorrow, we are doing Booty Pro Wrestling, 3 o'clock. That'll be on the Twitch. Saturday, I don't know what we're doing on the Twitch. We'll figure something out. Maybe nothing. Joel Pearl says he knows who's coming to the Twitch tonight. Joel knows more than I do. I'm out of the loop. I don't have any of the scoops. Friday, Hannah says I better be. Joel and I just had a disaster trying to set it up. Fantastic. Y'all are on brand with us. Technical issues, completely on brand. Twitch tomorrow night, Friday night at 11:30. That's going to be a regular thing moving forward. Twitch Fridays at 11:30. So we'll do that. A lot of Twitch stuff. Missed last week for stuff, but we're back at it this week. Joseph, plug anything.
Kenta, Industry Titan, Fightful.com. Enjoy. You don't even enjoy it. Pretend to read, retweet it. Tell me I'm good. Thank you. Good night.
All right, everybody. Again, we will be on Twitch here shortly. Talk to y'all then.